I'm Shannon Torres. We're honoring our son, Brendan Torres. This child had a love for life, a zest for life. He always, if you're having a bad day, he always managed to put a smile on your face and make you feel better. He was a prankster. We'd be eating dinner and he'd jump up and go to help a stranger. He knew that's what he wanted to do. He wore a firefighter suit from that age on, took pictures with it on with Santa Claus. It didn't matter, he wore that fire suit everywhere.
From an early age, I had friends around who were firefighters. Of course, in our town of 8,000, it was not, you were going to notice all the firefighters around you, every event, every parade, every July, firefighters everywhere. And I had friends that were firefighters, and the minute that he met my friend, he was wearing his gear, even though the hat was oversized and he's 4 years old and could barely hold it on. He just always knew that that's what he wanted to do. And the brotherhood was really, really strong, especially when his brother came onto the fire department. And his brother was hardly ever home. He was at these firefighting events, and that's where Brendan always wanted to be. And he got to see that brotherhood firsthand. They knew they wanted Brendan right away. Brendan was making TikToks. He would park outside the fire department and film his brother leaving the station on calls, and he would make TikToks and put music to that. And he knew, and they all egged him on. When are you coming? You're going to be a great firefighter. Brendan held on to his entrance, the whole form that he held on to that till he was old enough. He had it with him in his truck. He couldn't wait from day one to be a part of that. He was excited. It was filled out, ready to go. He told us about it all the time. I could still remember the first day he told us. And as worried as we were, we got to see the things that Devin, his older brother, were doing. We didn't worry about it so much. Plus, if you have a child, especially a teenage child, and they're driven, they're not drinking, they're not on drugs, they're not using their idle time. Brendan was all about something. And it was usually about nurturing or helping other people. Always gone. And it wasn't until his passing that we heard the stories about people that he had helped. We knew he was bred for that.
We found out afterwards that he'd gone into a couple of businesses just to say hi and throw their trash. He would hear of somebody with a flat tire somewhere or broke down somewhere, he'd go help them. There was a lady that was at our airport and she needed a ride to town, and he caught wind of it and he left the house to go pick up that person and take them where they needed to go. Never said anything to us when he left the house. He just said he'd be right back. He wasn't one to brag on helping. He just did it. At the time of the accident, they all hit the ground screaming and crying because not only did they lose their fire chief, which he was the oldest of the department, they lost the baby of the department, and they all loved him. They've been there for us every step of the way. They don't leave us out of anything that they have at the fire department. They check on us. They come by the house. We're not forgotten, and neither is he.
It is just amazing to watch these people come out of nowhere, people that we'd never met, and just have the right words. When you lose a son, especially that tragically, nobody has the right words. But all of the people that we have met, and I call them the red coat people, they've just been amazing. It's just as good as taking a 3-year-old child by the hand and saying, I've got you, it'll be okay. They've just been totally amazing. They know the right things to say. They've led us down the road to benefits or things to look forward to, or they've just been amazing. And actually, we've learned a lot about the word brotherhood through them. Our relationship with the NFFF has just been amazing. There isn't one word for Brendan. There isn't one word. Nurturing, caring, unselfish, witty. There are just a plethora of words to use when you talk about Brendan, from when he was little to when he was older. But the main one is just driven. He knew what he wanted to be. If he had his sights set on anything, and there were so many hats that he wanted to wear at a young age: astronaut, city employee, tire changer, policeman. He had all these hats. He was even a pig farmer for quite a while. He bred show pigs. He knew that's what he wanted to do. Most, parents grab their kids and they say, I'd like you to be like I did. I'd like you to be a railroader. Or I'd like you to get a degree and be a doctor. We didn't have to do that. He knew what he wanted to do. And sometimes he didn't tell us. He was already moving that direction until the day he said, I have a job here, or I have a job here. We never had to worry about Brendan, but just driven. Driven is the main one we remember the most. Seems like everything that I was doing, Brendan wanted to do when I was working in the yard. And he was a big boy. He was a baby Huey boy. It seemed like everything I wanted to do, he wanted to do. So I had to get him a weed eater, a play weed eater. I had to get him a mower. And almost everything that I had of equipment-wise, there was a baby version or a child version of it. And we started it. He told me, Dad, when I turn 10, can we start a mowing business together? And I said, sure. So when he turned 10 on his birthday, I had some shirts made up with stick figures with sombreros on because we're the Torres family, Hispanic. And I had t-shirts made, TNT Mowing. And I just remember that day how happy it was to get his shirt. And I didn't have to tell him to do anything. Sometimes I'd be at work and somebody from town would come and find me. And I said, I saw your son outside mowing the lawn. He says, nobody had to tell him. And he says, I went up to him and I told him, you're a good young man, that you would do all of those things. And that was just the start. And he was so big for 10 that he could push a mower better than I could. In fact, we got rid of the self-propelled mowers because we pushed faster. So we wouldn't use self-propelled mowers because he was such a strong boy. And it helped him, it got him ready for sports and football. And he was, once he got his mind set on something, he didn't need anybody to tell him what to do. Those are just my best memories as a child.
His daddy had him at a young age. And then when he started showing livestock, his daddy lost him and I gained him. And him and I, he showed pigs. I was always there with them. We used Daddy to clean pig pens. We went on several major circuits together. Always did things, we did things together. And he has his horse. He was our cowboy. I spent time out there with him and his horse. Watch him drive away to go on calls. Here's my little Betty.
The stories that we were told by people, they loved his enthusiasm for one. He was very kind, very generous, very helpful. They would all say that. Do you need somebody to help you move a couch? He would disappear. We couldn't have him home. He was helping somebody tow a truck. He was helping somebody do any kind of work around the house. That was just his nature. He was very helping, and they would all say that. They were enthused. We were told by many people in the fire department that if he would have lived to a ripe age, he probably would have been the chief there, and he probably would have been in some national foundations. And we heard that a lot. When he joined the force or the department, we had an intuition that we weren't going to keep him long. We had an intuition that something was going to happen, and he had an intuition at his job, which he was only there 60 plus days. He had the wherewithal to get his own life insurance. So something told us that he just knew that this was his calling. During the funeral services and talking to the fire department people, they all said that if you were to tell Brendan when he got in that truck with Chief that he wasn't going to come back, would he have got in there? And he would have, knowing that he took the sacrifice over all those men, because we still hear that from the department. It should have been me with Chief. It should have been me with Chief. No, Brendan did the sacrifice on himself, took it on himself so that none of you would have had to die. And he still would have got in that vehicle with Chief, knowing that that would have been his last call. That is the Brendan that we knew. We knew we weren't going to keep him. We always had an intuition. I can't explain it, and you weren't able to tell Brendan what to do or where to go. Once he knew what he wanted to do, that was it. And it was our blessing, but it's also our curse.
I would love to have him back home with us forever. However, we weren't given that choice. So we cherish what we have, and we'll make sure his legacy lives on.
that smile on your face. Here's to you.